morning, everybody. We are starting bright and early here today because it has been hot. I mean, here we are in September and it is still in the upper 90s, near 100 degrees every day this past week. So I'm getting an early start today. We are going to go stack this trailer load of wood, which will just about complete the 10 cord order. And I'm going to bring you along on that. And when we get back to the yard, I got a lot of things to talk to you about. We've got repairs that we had to get done. We've got reorganization that we've gotten done, and even some land clearing to expand the yard a little bit. So we're going to cover all that today. Stick around. Isn't that a beautiful sight? The sun is rising up above the tree line here this morning. We are at the farm where we're making our delivery. Kind of backed up to the pile here, and you can see all the wood that's been stacked already. We're getting close to completing this 10 cord green order. He had a cherry tree come down, so he's been splitting a little bit of wood here as well and adding it to the piles as I'm delivering the wood. But we're gonna stack this trailer right now and fill this section up. It's probably going to be more wood on the trailer than we can fit here, so we'll start a new row of pallets in front of it. And when we get done here, I'll show you what's going on back at the wood yard. Here we go. That row's filled up, and we still got a good bit left here in the trailer. Like I said, I knew we were going to have more in the trailer than we could stack there in that open space. So we'll set up a few more pallets. The customer here supplies all the pallets for me. So I'm just going to run over, grab some pallets. I'm going to reposition the trailer probably over on this side, over here. Throw a couple pallets down right in here and stack the rest of that. You see that stuff there? He likes to separate the smaller stuff in the kindling. So as I'm unloading the trailer, the slivers and the smaller splits, he just lets me dump them right there at the end. And then obviously the bigger splits get stacked. So let me get some pallets set up, move the truck, and we'll finish unloading. And that load is all stacked. You can see there on the left-hand side, the short stack of pallets there that I put up. That's what was left on the trailer. But I did a little bit of measuring off camera to see where we were here, and based on my calculations, we are sitting about half to 2/3 of a cord short of the 10 cords. I knew it was going to be close. I figured it was going to be a little short. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring him another full cord, and that way I know for a fact that he got at least his 10 full cord and probably just a little bit on top. So that's where we are. Another cord I'll bring in a couple days here and finish out this order. If you saw in the time lapse, my customer came down and talked to me there for a few minutes. I told him we were finishing up, so we're going to square up on this order when I bring the last load. And then he wants me to start bringing his 8 full cord of seasoned wood for him to burn this coming winter. Obviously, you know, if you've been following along, this is all for next year. Splitting it green and bring it to him and stacking him right here. And he's going to stay a year ahead on his wood. So once again, as soon as we get this last load brought in and stacked, we'll bring in 8 more cords for him for a total of 18 full cords delivered to one customer this year. So I'm going to get back on the road, get back to the wood yard, and I got a lot to show you that's been done off camera since you've seen the yard last time. A few problems that we've encountered and what we've done to correct them. So we'll be right back. So back at the yard now from that delivery, we pulled in the driveway there at exactly 7 o'clock, and I pulled out of the driveway at 5 minutes to 9. So a little bit less than 2 hours there to stack that whole load of wood, even with the amount of time that it took to, you know, set up those extra few pallets that we needed for that next row. So not too bad, a little less than 2 hours to stack that whole trailer load of wood by myself. I'm glad I started in the morning because the temperatures are already rising. But I just went through my clipboard here for this year's deliveries, and I've already started doing some deliveries, but right now I've got 21 orders that I need to schedule in the next couple weeks to start hauling firewood out. So firewood is going to be flying out of here really quickly, and that's what I'm going to be doing this afternoon once I get done here in the yard, is calling some of my customers and setting up some dates and times to deliver their wood for this year. But not a whole lot of wood has gotten processed in this past week or so because there's been a lot of problems and breakdowns. Not major stuff, just little tedious stuff that has taken me time to get back in order. I've evolved to the point now where I'm dependent on machines a lot more than manpower, which is a good thing. But you know, when one of those machines goes down, it definitely sets you back or slows you down a little bit. And I only had one machine go down, but I had 3 machines go down this week. I'm talking about what's behind me, the 4-wheeler, the skid loader, and my truck. I'll touch on what happened to all 3 of those things here, but we did get some work done in the back of the yard that I'm going to walk you down and show you as well, which I think is going to be a big help, not only for me, but for my mom as well. And I'll explain that when we get down there. But the 4-wheeler, this week, I use that 4-wheeler to move the firewood stand around now. I use the 4-wheeler to pull the yard trailer around. I use the 4-wheeler to pull the little splitter around that I'm using for resplits right now. And I'm going to show you over here something that's changed regarding the resplitting area and the bundle area in just a second. But the starter totally went up. I noticed about a week ago that it was starting to make a really high-pitched whining noise when I would start it. And finally the thing just came apart inside. The magnets came loose inside, jammed the starter up, and it wouldn't even turn over. It was just clicking the relay in the back. So I had to pull the air cleaner off and move a bunch of stuff. It took more time to get stuff out of the way of the starter than it did to actually change the part. But that is fixed. The 4-wheeler's back in service. That's a necessary part of my operation. And then the skid loader, blew a hydraulic line on that, which is just par for the course. You know, that kind of stuff's going to happen. But I was running the skid loader and I heard a burst and looked behind over my right shoulder, and hydraulic fluid was spraying everywhere. So fortunately I was able to get that line off pretty easily and get a new line made for it. It's back on, and that is back in service. Obviously that is a huge part of the operation now. And then of course the last thing that I told you was screwing up on me this week was the truck. I was driving down the road pulling the trailer, stepped on the brake and heard nothing but grinding. I mean, all at once. It wasn't like the wear indicator on the brake started squealing and then, you know, the grinding started and gradually got worse. It had happened all at one time. It was just grinding, and I didn't understand why. So come to find out, the right rear brake caliper froze up on it. It was stuck and dragging. How long it's been dragging, I don't know. I hadn't noticed it making any noise or any problems driving the truck, but the caliper froze up, ate the brake pad away, and obviously was grinding. So all new rotors on the rear, all new brake pads on the rear, and so we should be good to go there for a while. But let me walk you down here below in the yard and show you what has changed. So a little bit more talking in this video than I normally like to do, but there's some things I want to show you to prevent questions when you start seeing the yard in the videos, and that is the camper's gone. The camper has officially been moved to a different location and is now permanently out of the wood yard. So all these IBC totes and the Countyline there that I'm using for resplitting used to be sitting here where the skid loader is now, kind of out in the middle of the yard where I need that space to be able to get the truck around in between the rows to load and deliver firewood. So all these IBC totes with bundle wood, the splitter, has all been moved over to where the camper used to sit. I'm kind of gonna, the bundler's over there, I'm kind of gonna set this area up as my bundle station. So it's a little bit more out of the way, a little bit more organized, and I don't need to keep moving things back and forth. You also see the old firewood stand sitting here. I was going to take that apart and disassemble it and just kind of use the pallets again, but I'm glad I didn't, because Chaz, my tree guy from Blandford Tree Service, has offered me to put this stand at the end of his driveway, which is a few miles away, a different location, different town. So I'll be able to have two. This will actually be a real roadside stand at the end of his driveway, as opposed to my driveway stand, which is at the bottom of the driveway. So I'm going to be able to reuse this again. The money box is still on it, the signage is still on it, and that will be repurposed. So two bundle stands will be going into service. Now, for the little bit more of a big change, let me walk you down here below and show you this. So here we are all the way at the bottom of the wood yard where I built this pallet shed that I was originally going to store the skid loader in. It has kind of evolved to where I leave the skid loader up top now because I use it so often and it gets muddy down here. I just leave it up top, and this has kind of turned into my kindling storage area. Taylor's got some extra kindling bundles back there. Any extra firewood, campfire bundles that I make, I can store under this roof and have it kept dry. But the big change down here is to where I used to store all my IBC totes and my extra pallets. I would line up here along the wood line. And my mom, who enjoys cutting the grass, was constantly having to mow around this stuff, weed eat around this stuff. I even caught her down here the other day trying to move an IBC tote by herself to cut some of the grass. I offer to help her do that stuff, but I think she really does genuinely enjoy keeping the yard looking nice. So my alternative plan to having her try to manhandle that stuff was just to move it completely out of her way. And the way that I accomplished this was pushing some of our wooded area back. So now I have used the skid loader, which is when I blew the hydraulic line doing this job. I've pushed all this wood line back, and I have an area back here where I can store all these IBC totes now back out of the woods. Apparently we had a little tree fall here since I did this, so I'm gonna have to clean that up today. But anyway, this area is all open back here for me to store my extra IBC totes. No worries of having to mow anything around. And if you walk around to the other side of the pallet shed here, I also pushed all of this back to an area in the woods here to store all the extra pallets. So I'm accumulating. I've got a source for pallets again that I'm getting for free, which is great because some of the pallets here in the yard in my rows are starting to deteriorate to the point that I need to replace them. So this year, as the wood goes out for deliveries, I am going to be replacing pallets that are no longer serviceable. So this is my pallet storage area on this side, and just over there is my IBC tote area on that side back here in the woods. So just gave myself a little extra room, which is going to work out great and solve a problem for my mother as well. So that's what's going on. Let's get back up here up top and I'll tell you what's next. So my original plan was for the end of this video was to start splitting that last cord that we got to deliver to the farm where we just came from earlier today. And I was going to film the splitting and conveying of the last cord for that full 10 cord order to get out of here. But due to my rambling and my talking in this video today, we have started to run a little bit long. Plus, I've got that tree down in the back where my new pallet and IBC tote storage area is that apparently has broke off and fell across there that I need to get cleaned up. So I want to get that done today as well before the afternoon gets too awfully hot. So I think I'm going to wrap it up here today, but we will be back next Wednesday to show you more of the progress of all this locust laying here. I think you're going to be really interested to see what's coming in next week's video. There's going to be a new toy here temporarily in the wood yard for everybody to check out to see how it works with bucking these logs up. I think it might be helpful, but we're going to find out. Also, don't forget the Paul Bunyan Show in Ohio is only 3 weeks away. For those of you who are gone, it's going to be a great time. For those of you who aren't going, I will do my best to try to bring the show to you on YouTube. So like I said, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this little bit of talking and the changes going on in here in the yard. If you see something that you like, let me know. If you see something that you think I should change or do a little bit different here, you can let me know that too. So have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next Wednesday.